When riding a motorcycle, it's important that you have street riding strategies. The first strategy I'm going to talk about is to see and be seen. You need to search well ahead for potential hazards, as well as behind you with mirror checks and head checks. Cars will sneak up on you and they will not see you. You're so much smaller than the other cars they're used to looking for. Wear bright colored clothing or helmets if you can. And use your headlight, your turn signals, your brake lights, all of that to be seen better. Try to get every advantage you can by seeing and being seen. The second set of strategies we're going to talk about have to do with positioning. And first, let's talk about positioning within our lane. A motorcycle is much narrower than a car or a van or a truck. So you have a choice. You can ride in the left tire track or the right tire track or right down the center of the lane. And you can adjust it all the time you're riding. In this situation, you might adjust it so you can see farther through those blind corners. Or maybe out on a big busy road, as you're passing someone, you'll ride in that left third before you pass them so you can see around them better. And then maybe as you pass them, you're getting the center of the left lane. And then move back over to the right third to kind of communicate to them that you're probably changing lanes. Hopefully they see your turn signal, but you have these options. Here I'm riding in the left third of the lane, guarding my extra space over to the right. That's my escape route over there. I'm keeping them from using my lane by riding there in that left third. But believe me, you have to keep an eye on them because they will wander into your lane. Another positioning strategy is your following distance. Wait for the vehicle ahead of you to cross over a stripe or a crack in the road or a shadow, and then start counting. 1001, 1002. That should be your minimum following distance in ideal conditions. Poor visibility, poor road conditions, heavy traffic, you might extend that out even further. But count off your following distances and make sure you're giving yourself time to react and stop to a vehicle in front of you. The third positioning strategy is really a don't. Don't hang out in other vehicles' blind spots. You know, like a little behind their door or right up to next to their rear bumper. Somewhere where if they all of a sudden change lanes without a signal and without any warning, that you'd be in trouble. That's their blind spot. And believe me, just because you can see their face in the mirror doesn't mean they're seeing you. They look in that mirror for a big car. They don't register motorcycle as something being there. So don't ride in other vehicles' blind spots. Our third strategy is IPDE, an acronym for Identify, Predict, Decide, and Execute. You should have learned this in driver's ed when you were in school, but it's especially important now that you're on a motorcycle because you're so vulnerable. You need to look well ahead and actively search to identify hazards and predict how they might present problems for you. And then you must decide what you will execute, and decide that before you get to the hazard. Your options are maybe to try to communicate with your signals, maybe a high-low beam flash of your headlight, maybe flashing your brake light at something behind you, or try to make eye contact with the driver of a vehicle. Or you could adjust your speed up, slow down, or adjust your position, maybe your position within the lane, or even change lanes. Or you can sometimes cover your controls to decrease your reaction time if needed. It is especially important to practice IPDE when around intersections. Cars coming at you from all directions, extra possibility of pedestrians, fluid spills from other vehicles, painted lines can be slippery. There's all sorts of hazards at intersections. It's important that you scan well ahead and behind you when around intersections, know what's going on around you, spot the hazards, decide what you would execute if they do present themselves. We also need to take seriously parking lots and exits and entrances from parking lots. Consider those intersections as well. and practice IPDE. So as we approach this intersection, right over this hill, we're scanning, we're looking for hazards. What are possible hazards? That oncoming car could turn left even though it's not in the turn lane. There's a car in the right turn lane on our right. They could swing wide and come into our lane. Lots of things to IPDE. Identify, predict, decide, execute. Merge lanes are another potential intersection with cars entering our lane of traffic possibly. So you have to IPDE. What do you see here? Merge lane on the right with a car in it. Oncoming traffic that could turn left. We have to identify the hazards, predict what they'll do, and decide what we would do before we get there. You need to consider corners as hazards as well, and IPDE those. Not just the traffic that could be met in corners, whether oncoming or in front of you, but the corner itself and the lack of visibility around some corners needs to be IPDE'd as well. Now, remember, with lane positioning, you don't have to stay in one part of the lane. You can set up on the outside, press towards the inside, and then roll on the gas to move back to the outside. By setting up on the outside, sometimes you can see farther through the corners. It'll also straighten the corner out and make it less of a sharp corner, making it easier. So press to the inside, roll on, move back to the outside of your lane. In motorcycle studies of accidents, running wide and striking the curb or an object outside the roadway in a corner is the #1 single vehicle accident scenario. So treat corners as hazards, set up with a decent entry speed that you know you can roll on through the rest of the corner, look all the way through the corner as far as you can, treat them as hazards. Corners are a serious hazard. IPDE them. Identify, predict, decide, execute. Now, if you've just stumbled across this video, realize that it's part of an entire series, the Cars Suck Learn to Ride video course. So check out the playlist. It wouldn't hurt to subscribe to the channel, and you can click on the gear button to get yourself a hat or a t-shirt. Right on.